Perceptions could change. Opinions can be formed with more and accurate information. Get all sides, views, and opinions on topical issues. Have your say on Perspectives. With Toyin Alabi at 9 a.m. Mondays to Fridays on Invicta 98.9 FM. Perspectives. All sides, all views, all individuals are welcome.
Good morning and welcome to the program Perspectives. Perspectives this morning reaching you on Invicta 98.9. This morning on the program, we're on a mission, and the mission is about fixing Nigeria. More than any other time in the history of this country, this is what some people are saying, public analysts, individuals, and opinions, varied opinions, saying that Nigeria needs to be fixed. And for some people, Nigeria is in a hole. And how do you get out of this hole? With a jump or two or three? Your choice would just be about mine too. But let's talk about it. We have a guest in the studios this morning, and our guest will be sharing thoughts with us on the quest to fix Nigeria. My guest this morning is distinguished Senator Suleiman Othman Hunkuyi, a chieftain of the New Nigerian People's Party, NNPP. Together, he'll be sharing thoughts with us about Nigeria today. And of course, attention would be on Kaduna State, what we have in Kaduna State. Senator Suleiman Othman Hunkuyi is a familiar name in Kaduna State politics, especially from the start of the Fourth Republic, 1999 to date. He was the Director General of Alabi Ahmed Mohammed Makarfi campaign organization in 1998. And of course, it ushered in the victory of Ahmed Makarfi first time as Kaduna State Governor in 1999 under the PDP. However, in 2022 or 2002 to 2002, Senator Hunkuyi defected to the ANPP and contested against Governor Makarfi in 2003, but lost. In 2005, distinguished Senator Suleiman Othman Hunkuyi returned to the PDP and contested for the governorship seat in 2007, but came third. Again, he contested under the PDP in 2011, but lost to late Governor Patrick Ibrahim Yakowa. Again in 2014, distinguished Senator Suleiman Othman Hunkuyi decamped to the newly formed APC and spearheaded the Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai's governorship campaign into victory in 2015, and was also elected the Senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. However, they parted ways warming up to the 2019 general elections. Senator Hunkuyi again defected back to the PDP, contested and lost the PDP governorship ticket to Honorable Issa Hashiru Kudan. He also lost re-election bid into the Senate. In February 2022, Senator Suleiman Hunkuyi again dumped the PDP and defected to the newly recognized New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, spearheaded by former governor of Kano State, Engineer Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso. He is believed to be eyeing the Sir Kashim House governorship seat or governor's seat. That's a big profile on our guest this morning, who's been around in Kaduna State politics, a chieftain, like I said. All right, the question is for us and for me this morning, where do I start? Where do I take it from? But about anywhere I take it from, I know that the senator is just ready to take a shot, on wherever we're coming from this morning. But again, let's just talk about how it all started. First, I'd like to welcome my guest this morning on the program, distinguished Senator Suleiman Othman Hunkuyi. Good morning. I'm glad to have you with us this morning.
Thank you. A very good morning.
Yeah. So, just talking about where to start from, you parted ways with your friend, Governor Nasir El-Rufai, and your serial defection from one party to the other. All right, and look at, your political profile. You're said to have played key roles in all those who became governor of Kaduna State since 1999 to date. But you have also lost your bid for the seat 4 times. Yet, you have not given up your quest to be governor of Kaduna State. What is it that makes you thick in Kaduna State politics?
Well, thank you very much, Toyin. I do believe you have given a very compressed summary of my political outing tracing from the 1999 Fourth Republic. But the good summary of it all is, let me put it to you this way, from 1999 to date, I have had the opportunity of contesting 2 general elections, and I lost 1 and I won 1. The first general elections which I contested, like you rightly pointed out, was the general elections of the year 2003 against the then sitting governor of the PDP, former national chairman of the PDP, Ahmed Magarfi. That was the first general elections I contested, and I lost. The second general elections I contested was that of the Senate in 2015. And Providence, time, and the people rented the seat to me, and I won it. Those are the 2 principal outings of general elections I have had the opportunity of contesting. All other outings were outings between the 2 platforms of the then NNPP and the PDP. I have always held the belief, and I have cared to put it even on the floor of the Senate, that the problem of internal democracy within our polity or party politics has wreaked havoc on the entire democratic outing that Nigeria and Nigerians have ventured to fulfill. I had fears, or some of us had fears, and those fears today have come into sharp focus and reality that partisan politics has not been fair to Nigerians. Partisan politics was or is supposed, under a general principles of democracy, to provide good, credible, alternative platforms for fellow Nigerians who have satisfied the general condition of the law and the umpire, that is INEC, to put themselves forward for the people to have variety and alternative choices. But unfortunately, the political parties have, over this period of time you have traced, and that is what people or Nigerians do not understand. That is the reason behind the incessant defections of politicians from one political party to another. Human life, and indeed life itself completely, be it that of a plant, insect, a bird, animal, is usually tilted towards favorable alternatives. Therefore, when people are discomforted, when people are constricted, when people are refused to express themselves, when people are taken over on a one-track journey like the political parties do most of the time, politicians and indeed those who aspire have little or no option than to jump from one party to another, hoping to find a suitable cradle to express themselves and seek the blessings of the almighty electorate who are responsible in choosing their leaders. Therefore, this sojourn which you have traced, you will see, is even more blatant today than it were yesterday or in the yesteryears. Why? When you see accomplished politicians, when you see politicians of old time, when you see politicians who, by every strata, you cannot discountenance jumping parties, you need to go under. And you go under to see just at the surface, they represent what is called democracy, but under they represent policies of repression, policies of decision by an extremely few number of people for what they want and what they feel they must load on the generality of the people. They do not at the end of the day allow the procedure, even as provided under the law, to crystallize into what the umpire, that is INEC, intended in coining out those pieces of legislation to provide an internal democracy, a level playing ground for all Nigerians, for all party members who desire to express themselves or who the people may desire in the first instance to put them in choice rather than others. These are the general and specific reasons why you see that as much as possible there are a lot of parties, and those parties are either strong in membership or they are lean in membership. Those that are strong in membership are being manipulated by few, extremely very few individuals in the name of leadership rather than to be controlled by the majority of the people. The system of elections under the primaries, you will agree with me, are basically 2 to 3. One is they tell you direct primaries. The other, they tell you indirect primaries. The other, they tell you a consensus. It is a choice between the devil and the deep blue sea, depending on the sincerity of the leadership of those parties. And I have seen both or all of them. And there is practically very little credibility in the parties today as to provide what the people truly desire, what the people truly deserve. A situation where the choice candidate of a party becomes the decision of extremely few and happen to be the undesired candidate of the majority of the people out there. What are you doing? You are only imposing on the general public what desire few people have, either than what the people's desire is supposed to be.
In taking a decision of defecting, do you go back to your constituency or, let's say the people that have wanted you in that party to take permission, or you take that decision single-handedly?
Usually, you should know, when a primary election or supposed primary election is decided and you see the entire majority of that constituency thrown into darkness, people thrown into depression, people thrown into hues and cries for such a decision, you don't need to go into consultation, because you know in the first instance what has been decided is not for the majority but for the minority. And indeed democracy, Toyin, and indeed every listener, democracy is supposed to be the expression of the majority either than the other way around.
2023 is a deciding year for Nigeria in terms of who takes over, in positions of leadership. And that's Nigerians would want at this time that the right leaders be there. Let's talk about the umpire and the independence of the umpire, independence of INEC as it is today. Because what had just happened, there was a shifting of the goalpost, as we saw in extension of the primaries. And, another credible opposition party was cried foul that INEC was bowing down to dictates of its master. And again, of course, we saw what happened to Peter Obi, an individual who had to move because he said he could not contest for the money bags. Now, as we get ready for 2023 and we're beginning to see some of these, credibility, fairness of INEC in, giving us these elections, how well are you down? How seated are you with that?
Well, let me personally express my own opinion on that, because it can only be an individual's expression. My honest, candid, bravado opinion that I can champion for INEC today as the umpire is that they have really brought advancement and technology to bear on the body polity and decision-making process of elections. This cannot be taken away from their score sheet and their scorecard. I can tell you, Toyin, and indeed the generality of Nigerians, two things stand out. One, it can no longer be business as usual in rigging elections anymore again for Nigeria. That does not mean there cannot be gray areas, but there cannot be that kind of process of large-scale rigging which we have witnessed from the beginning of the Fourth Republic. This is because INEC of the Jega era, INEC of the Mahmoud era, 12, 18 or 16 years to now, have steadily, credibly advanced through the employment of new pieces of legislation, but most of all, the pieces of technology put together to ward off and away those unwarranted, unpleasant outings. Two, the rest is for the people to take advantage. Whoever have more people at the post of the ballot box to vote is most likely Toyin to emerge rather than the ways and means that has happened. But there is still one thing, the human factor. When you are talking of INEC, you think of three things. You think of the technology, you think of the human factor, and then you think of the polity. In the three instances, INEC, as far as they are concerned, are divided into two: the technology and the system, and then the human management system. The human management system, Toyin, I cannot sit here and decide and tell you who will do what and who will not do what, who will do the correct thing at the right time, in the right place, and who is not likely to do. But as far as the process, the system, the technology of INEC is concerned, I stand firm and fully behind that system. Human error, human factor, human fluctuation, selfishness, all these are within boundaries of what can constitute a narrow percentage of influence on the system of election. For example, I give you one practical example. A situation where a supervisor in charge of 15-20 polling units is assigned the responsibility of taking those polling units or the polling boxes, the materials, identifying the workers, temporary and permanent, issue them with materials to go for election, decide to disappear with the materials. That is human factor. That is the selfishness. That is something else. But the technology is likely to protect the system, because having taken it away, he cannot return what he likes. That was the folly of technology before, added with the folly of the human factor, which has been separated today. So there are a lot of this, if we could make a lot of analysis in trying to determine the credibility, honesty, and the outing of INEC, I stand to say they have tried for all purposes and intent, for what we have seen in their pieces of legislation, for what we have seen in the improvement of the system and technology to deploy an honest and transparent elections. The last, don't forget, Toyin, we have only made analysis in transparent election of one segment. Then the people, the polity, the people have most of the power to decide. And that is why all this that has happened to our dear country, all that has happened to our dear nation, our dear people, our states, is likely to be decided, determined by the people who own and possess all powers when it comes to elections. So they decide first, do you have a card, a voter card? Have you been registered? Did you decide to cross-check and find out whether it has been updated? Have all that have attained the ages of 18 from the last 4 years been captured in the new voter register? Are you willing to be honest to yourself? Are you willing to be conscious about your children and children's future, to honestly go to the polling unit and express yourself in the best honest means and ways that you feel you can? All these and a lot many more is about the polity and what the people want to decide, what they want to do and what they have to do and what they are ready to do and what they are willing to do and what they are likely to do at the end of the day in accomplishing whether or not INEC is either intended to be transparent or can be transparent or will be transparent at the end of the day. Because if the polling units are empty, you are only providing bigger latitude for the people who intend to hijack to do the same. You are only providing the latitude for the bad acts, whether in permanent staff of INEC or temporary staff of INEC, to hijack or infiltrate the system. But where things go well with INEC and their presentation and the people are on ground, Toyin, 2023 is the year of the people. 2023 is the year of decision for people to take back what truly belongs to them. 2023 is the time for the younger generation who in the last 23 years know nothing other than the rigging machine of some parties. to some young people, Toyin, I'm sorry to say, is like in the situation where you see that the young people of today, anybody not beyond the age of 30, has come to believe that box snatching, multiple voting, and things like that are the normal activity and pattern of elections, because that is what has been over time. So for the first time, like I said, the advancement of this technology in INEC between the last 4 years till today, take the practical example of the elections in Anambra. There is practically nothing on earth the ruling party did not do to hijack elections in Anambra. There is no amount of money buying machines that have not been put in place. Alas, Toyin, what did we see? Very credible messages, very strong messages coming out of Anambra. That money was useless. That multiple voting cannot be accommodated into the body's system of election. That outing of intimidation never was able to work. At the end of the day, the second lesson, even with 100,000 votes, a number of votes that in Kaduna state, one local government can come with a number much, much higher than that for just one candidate, was used to decide the number of votes that decided the elections in Anambra State. This is to tell you the power of technology. This is to tell you the power of time. This is to tell you that 2023 is a turning point for the people to take back what belongs to them and not what any other fellow, no matter how highly placed, no matter how powerful those forces are, the people are more powerful than them. And for the first time, we are going to see a turning point in elections in Nigeria where the people will triumph.
The program is Perspectives, and it's coming to you on Invicta 98.9. And this morning, with distinguished Senator Suleiman Othman Hunkuyi, a chieftain of the new Nigerian People's Party, NNPP. There'll be more to come. And just to share with our listeners that listen to this program, you can also, we're streaming live on Facebook, 98.9, Invicta 98.9. So get ready with your questions and all of that for us. We'll come back after this commercial break.
Wake up.
Let's wake up.
Good morning, everybody.
And what a beautiful morning it
and
is.
Smell the coffee.
Let's get started, shall we?
Wake up and smell the coffee. On the Coffee Morning Drive, 98.9 Invicta FM.
We'll be right back after this quick commercial break. Are you serious? Invicta FM.
Perceptions could change. Opinions can be formed with more and accurate information. Get all sides, views, and opinions on topical issues. Have your say on Perspectives. With Toyin Alabi at 9 a.m. Mondays to Fridays on Invicta 98.9 FM. Perspectives. All sides, all views, all individuals are welcome.
Welcome back. It's the program Perspectives this morning, and I guess this morning in the studios we have a chieftain of the new Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, in the person of distinguished Senator Suleiman Othman Hunkuyi, and we're talking about Nigeria today in a quest, that Nigeria becomes a better country for you and I. So let's stay with it, and distinguished Senator, let's stay with Kaduna. I'll come back to Kaduna State, where, you're making the waves and making the rounds. And of course, you've gone national too there. Let's start with about you and your friend. You know, people talk about that there was a friendship thing and a friendship train that you were all in. But again, matters went sour, and your property at Sambo Road was demolished after a political disagreement. Same house where nocturnal meetings were allegedly held for El-Rufai's 2015 governorship project. It is alleged, though, that you were compensated, but the governor himself, you know, Nasir El-Rufai, later boasted to have retired you from active politics or politics after you lost the re-election in 2019. What went wrong between you and your friend?
Well, I think, first of all, I think I need to have to make a very fundamental correction there. Nasir El-Rufai is not a friend. Nasir El-Rufai is my brother. And you know, you don't change blood. What went wrong is simple. The situation changed after the behavior of governance and the head of government changed direction. Toyin, I was never, like so many Nigerians committed the error, I was one of those people who committed that error. And that's why, as a credible person, when and where you find that you have committed an error, you match the brakes. You either effect corrections or you change course. The error is that, in my own judgment, some of the key conceptions and directions of government of Malam Nasir El-Rufai was not what he promised, was not what I understood, and was something I completely disagree. So where there is a very major fundamental disagreement in principles of governance, I have two options. Either, like so many Nigerians do, I remain, I keep quiet, and I jolly well ride along. Or I express myself and I take a leap out. This is one of those situations, like I said a while ago, when you jump party. You cannot exist, in my own opinion, where your heart does not belong. For me as a politician, what matters most is where the heart of my people belong. The people that I led the government of Malam Nasir El-Rufai to elect were in variance with the principles of governance which El-Rufai was dishing out to the people. There is nothing wrong in disagreeing, and I disagreed. But my disagreement maybe was too painful, and what you said he did, yes, he demolished my house, a house that housed his primary initial office in Kaduna State to put his government in place. He demolished it for what you said, some meetings being held, which meetings other than political meetings. If there were anything criminal about what was happening in that house, probably it would have been a police issue or issue to do with the security operatives rather than the selfish of decision of people in government. they took the decision, or he took the decision to demolish the house, and he did demolish the house, and heavens did not fall because the house belonged to me. I was not born with a house. I said it before. Toyin, a lot of Nigerians, or most Nigerians today, are either sleeping out or are living in houses other than the houses they built. I was one of those few Nigerians that are opportuned by Providence that apart from the house I sleep, I even have another house to put for an office. Therefore, demolishing such a house does not touch on who Hunkuyi is a minute. It does not change who I am. 2, I have not read, I did not hear, but today I'm hearing from Toyin that I have been compensated. Compensation only comes in after admittance that what has been done is wrong. Day one, when the demolition took place, it was denial. The government denied they did not demolish. The government denied they never had anything to do with it. What was left for me was to go and take a legal redress. But like I said, Toyin, life is about alternatives. Hunkuyi has an alternative. Even if that is the house I sleep, Hunkuyi can still find another house to sleep. What bothers me the most, when that happened, I knew then, and Nigerians knew then, and it happened then, that the worst is yet to follow for fellow citizens with their own houses, with their own places of businesses, and their places of abode. That, to me, if there is anything, that is what Hunkuyi grieves about. Nobody gave me a kobo. I didn't take the government or Nasir El-Rufai to court because, like I said, he is my brother. He decided to demolish my own house, a house that housed him, his interest, his government, putting his government in place. So that I, in my own opinion, being a psychologist, an educationist, and somebody who is not materialistic to life, I felt, let me leave Nasiru El-Rufai with the burden. Let me leave the citizens, Nigerians, to play the judge. If anybody decide to circulate that false information that anybody has compensated me, please, I challenge the government or the individual to come up with such a voucher, such a check or payment, or who originated the payment, where it was paid, to whose account it was paid, and so that we will know. Maybe, like I said, because multiple frauds in this government is too evident. I may not be surprised. Probably that money was compensated to the account of one of them. And if it is, please let Nigerians, let the people ask them who paid the money and to whose account was it paid. Even when they took it an extra mile to the house that is providing abode for my little younger ones and my children, and they wanted to demolish it, I decided to play the role of the nomad. I had to pack my family out for the last 5 years. I left the house for them. In case if they want to demolish, they are free to go and do it. And indeed, they brought a frivolous bill. Up till now, yes, I sleep in the house when I'm here, but my family are not there. He is free. The government is free to do what they desire to do. But the good thing about it is that Hunkuyi will not sleep under the bridge. Unfortunately, a lot of people are finding themselves, if not sleeping under the bridges, but sleeping in very, very painful conditions for losing their places of abode. For me, as a leader, that is the most preponderant point. That is the most important point. That is the issue that we must take into account. All that cannot be swept under the carpet. People cannot be meted with that kind of cruelty. And yet, the same government is supposed to be the government that is supposed to protect the people. That is the issue of tomorrow. That is the issue to decide one day. And I assure you, Toyin, that day is coming around the corner.
You are a distinguished senator under Malam Nasir El-Rufai's government, and three of you representing Kaduna State at the federal level. The $350 million loan that you denied Governor El-Rufai in his first term was later secured by another set of senators and is fast changing the face of Kaduna State under the urban renewal project. Did you have cause to renew your non-approval decision of the loan with regrets? Do you have regrets today?
You see, Hunkuyi that you know, Toyin, Hunkuyi that my friends know, and Hunkuyi that even people who detest my guts know. It's not the kind of person who regrets his actions, because my actions are usually taken after painful, timely, credible analysis. That loan was not necessary. If it were necessary, or if it is necessary, the application of the loan is in a lot of places faulty, and in some grievous situations fraudulent. I have held that belief because I have those papers of application from Kaduna State government to the World Bank, and I have read every bit of information available for that loan. And Toyin, $350 million. From that time till now, Toyin, have you got any idea how much additional loans that this government has gone to contract? Fact of the matter is that if you decide to live a reckless life of today to eat up the future of your children and grandchildren, then you don't deserve to be a father. And that is exactly what the current government have decided to do, and that is what they have done, and that is what they have decided to spit on the faces of the people. Kaduna State urban renewal is not completely an alien thing, it is not completely a wrong thing to do. But a situation where there are issues of governance that are of greater importance, that have been neglected, that have been swept under the carpet, but to collect money and spend money. Because that is the only way you can make frivolous money. Collecting money and spending money. It didn't stop where the statutory allocations, collections, and the revenue collections, which is traditional to governments, be it local government, state government, and the federal government. Those are the statutory means, those are the revenue means on which normal budgets are done and spendings of government are expended. Alas, what we have seen is that revenues that are supposed to come into government normally in the last 7 years, and statutory allocations that are supposed to come to government in the last 8 years, today we have seen such monies collected in triples, and they have been spent. What it means is that monies that ought to come in or trickle in the next 18 or 20 years have been collected and misspent, most of it stolen. And you tell me you are doing urban renewal? Okay, let me tell you, Toyin. Because we are coming into governance with a realistic plan. We are not mindful of this very serious, frivolous, scandalous monetary recklessness that has been wreaked on this state. We are coming with a very modest 3-point agenda. The first one, we want to restore the respect and human dignity which our people have lost in this state. It is not about money. It is not about revenues. It is not about bridges and roads that respect and dignity of people are ensured. That is number one. Number two, we feel the most sacred contract between any government in Nigeria and indeed civilized world is the protection of lives and livelihood of the people. Under this government, we have seen hell. People have gone through hell. People have been tortured into living their livelihoods. People have been dissected away from their means of livelihood. Worst of all, the security to their lives have been tortured and taken to the last break point today. To us, that is one of the fundamentals of governance. That is one of the social contracts that this government has thrown overboard. No matter the amount of money that they have brought in through frivolous means of renting, I don't think that is important. The third most important thing that we feel must be done by our government, which we look forward to, is definitely boosting small and medium scale enterprises and businesses. These does not exist anymore in our state. Where they exist in so small a quantum. People have been recklessly thrown out of confusion that a lot of them have lost their means of livelihood, be it trading or some industry or one form of livelihood or another. They have been thrown into chaos. These are modestly part of what we feel we are going to concentrate on after the 2023 elections, God willing, when we have the mandate of the people. And you could see this is a complete departure from what is of interest, what is of selfish agenda of people who commercially come into government just for the purpose of reaping the people of their funds. The decision to go on urban renewal would have been carried with some semblance of understanding with the people, with some semblance of understanding that Kaduna State has 23 local governments, with semblance of understanding that when you contract a loan and you spend it within a local government or two, all the other local government will pay through their noses for that which has been done. To me, that is not too fair for our collective lot and responsibilities. And indeed, at the end of the day, like I said, you can only steal money out of the public coffers when you bring money out of or into the public coffers. And that is what they just succeeded in doing. Bringing in money from all sources, known and unknown. Most of it unknown to the people. Because the people have the right to know. The people should be given the consent. The simple fact that there is a contract between the people and you, and they have given you a mandate, does not warrant the arrogance of renting funds from all directions over a period of 8 years to spend the earnings of the people in the next 24 years. It does not exist anywhere in the statute books of social contract between the people and the governed, or the people and the government that govern them.
Right. You just put across the agenda of the NNPP as a party to the public there. But your posters for governor are seen dotting the state under the new NNPP. Can it be said, to be your long-term ambition to be governor of Kaduna State? Some say that's why you took to the NNPP. And again, yet some view the NNPP to be relatively new and with no structures to win the Kaduna State governorship seat. What are your thoughts here?
Well, thank you very much. First of all, NNPP is a child of circumstance, Toyin. NNPP came on stream after what appears to be the looting of the Nigerian treasury between the government of the day against the people. NNPP came on stream to provide a credible alternative platform, having analyzed within ourselves, within the polity, that the only two parties in existence are the APC and the PDP. And as far as the people are concerned, and I am opportuned to mingle with the people, to discuss with the people, to brainstorm with the people, to understand from the angle of where the pain of the people is coming from as far as the Nigerian democratic project is concerned. NNPP was a child of circumstance. It has existed for the past 21 years. The oldest party, only second to PDP today. So it is not a new party. It is the concept of the new Nigeria. It is the concept of providing a credible alternative breath to the Nigerian polity that brought the NNPP today on stream. It happened when we as politicians analyzed for over a year today to understand, to agree painfully that what is available for the people as platform is APC and PDP. And we knew public confidence have been eroded on those two platforms one way or another. First, the PDP, Mr. Toyin, the general public know, over a period of time, people have expressed, and the leaders of PDP from time to time have accepted, have put the opinion, and even went to the extent of apologies on what the PDP government or party has dished out to Nigerians in the name of alternative democracy. For the APC, the pains of the people are still driving the flight. We felt Nigerians, and indeed our dear country, deserve a credible alternative platform. A platform that is credible. That's why we picked an obscure, what most people even felt is completely a newly registered party, which is not. But we were careful. We had to anchor it on credible, tested people credible, tested leaders that has provided leadership for the people and have been judged and adjudged to be fair and people-minded. I'm talking about Senator Engineer Dr. Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, among few others, and some of us who took the bull by the horn. What a lot of these parties, particularly the two old parties, feel is that it is not possible, it is not practicable, it can be done, we can do it. But today, for special grace of God and indeed mindful Nigerians, NNPP is a reality. In the last 3 months, less than 90 days, we have sourced a new party, we have populated a new party, we have given leadership through the same process of the law. Credible leadership at various levels from ward to national level, and at the end of the day today, we have been able to start up the machinery of the party of NNPP and provided primary elections for the two tiers, that is State Assembly and the House of Rep, remaining 3 tiers, the Senate, governorship, and the presidential primaries, which are coming, all of them, from now to the next 10 or 12 days to come.
Your ambition to be governor of Kaduna State, you just found another platform under the NNPP to achieve that or make that a reality. Is that still standing?
That is true. And I'm glad about it, because you will agree with me today, talking of Kaduna State, with fair assessment, we don't know what is likely to happen tomorrow. There shall be 3 main parties. I mean the PDP, the APC, and the NNPP. No one can wish us away. Fact of the matter is that parties or partisan politics and indeed democracy is about number of people. And we know fellow citizens of Kaduna State and indeed wider Nigerians are desirous of the platform of the NNPP, not because of the name, but because of the credible number of people that are driving it, and most of all, the platform providing a credible alternative, like we have said.
We'll come back to the people now. Let's, have you as part of this conversation. Let's get your thoughts here too. And like I said earlier, we're streaming live on our Facebook page of Invicta 98.9. Drop your comments there. And of course, a line to call 081 40,000 989, 081 40,000 989, or 070 87800 989, 070 87800 989. Hello, good morning. Good morning. Hello, good morning.
Engineer Emmanuel.
Engineer Emmanuel, all right.
Yeah, good morning to your guests.
Yes.
Yes, I admire his analysis this morning, but I want to ask you 1 or 2 questions. The question number 1 is this. If one is dedicated in a particular political party and maybe his ambition to become something and he did not get it, why must you leave that political party? You should have stayed put until it gets to your turn, because we believe power is God that gives power. Now, if PDP has done so much, from the platform of PDP you arise to become a senator until when you did not return back. Now, why going to another party? Why are politicians love jumping from one party to the other just for their own interest? Because for me, I look at it for their own interest, not the interest of the people that they are driving.
Okay.
If there is a problem, one should stick put there.
Okay.
And now saying that only 3 parties, there are other parties. YPP is there, other parties are there. Just as you have seen, I will agree with you that at the end of the day, the people of Kaduna State will make the choice. Good morning.
Yes. All right, still with your calls, staying with your calls here. Hello, good morning. Good morning.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Trump.
Good morning.
Good morning to your guest. It's Francis calling.
Francis, okay, Francis.
Honestly, your guest have really done justice to the question you have been asking him. but we have a little contribution is on how he analyze INEC. To be frank with you, INEC as an empire, just like you explained about the human factor and the system factor. System cannot work without human. So there is no how, no matter the system that INEC as an empire will put in place, will work perfectly without the human aspect of the institution pursuing perfection. So therefore, if the human aspect of the institution is corrupt, the system cannot bring out any good result in any election that they will conduct. And that has been the problem we are facing. Because if the institution is pursuing, the human factor is pursuing perfection, I don't see the reason why an INEC officer that has been assigned to a particular place to be in charge, to go away with the materials. And at the end of it, the institution will still announce the results from the same place that the person in charge disappeared and reappeared after hours or days. That means the institution itself contributed to that by not cancelling anything pertaining in that assignment of that person. Two, coming to the urban renewal and the loan that the present government in the state collected and all they did with it. To be frank with you, government is being put in place to take care of the people that they are governing. Constructing bridges, flyovers, and roads is good. It's part of development, but you don't construct those things that has no one to make use of them. Because as it is in Kaduna today, if I'm not mistaken, I know of more than 20 families that have relocated out of Kaduna state because of hardship. And those that are still here are here because most of us have no choice of where to go. We have no other alternative. So what is the use of those flyovers? Is that what government is all about?
Okay.
It's a huge amount of money
all right,
the tax that they are collecting at home.
Okay, Francis. We got you there. All right, I'll take one more call and then we'll come back to our guest. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Toyin Alabi.
Good morning.
Good morning to our distinguished Senator Hunkuyi.
Very good morning.
The man that is going to be the governor of the New Nigerian Party by the grace of God. My name is Comrade Debre, the Texas man. So what I want to ask, because you likely wanted to touch on industrialization. And in Kaduna State, those days, if you call Lagos the second place, Kaduna, so what are you going to do about all this closed Texas industry? Because like myself, I'm working in Kaduna Texas Limited. Since 2002, the factory closed. And up to date, over 2,200 workers with a record of 480 workers have died. Nobody is saying anything about us. And it's one of the legacy of late Samon Dugolo Sarano of Sokoto. Same thing with Ariwa, not a Fantes. So what are you going to do, friend, to see that to bring Kaduna back to where it was? And I believe by the special grace of God, many of us are praying that we are tired of APC and the PDP. What are you going to do, friend, sir?
Okay. I'll come over to you.
Okay. First of all, I think there were three speakers. The first one was Engineer Emmanuel. And his question or views, which I respect, that politicians should and need to stay put where they are because they didn't pick a ticket. But I disagree with him, just like I have said, and I have expressed why I disagree with him. Let me give you a practical example. Two institutions, a hospital and a court. If you take a matter to a court and you know you are right, you believe you are right, even when people believe they are wrong, they appeal cases. When decisions are decided by the court of law and you know you are right, you appeal it. That appeal is going to another court. Since God ordains everything, you would have taken it that God decided that that case is not in your favor, but you appeal it. In some instances, up to 3 or 4 appeals to even arrive at the Supreme Court. And what do the people call the Supreme Court? They call it court of last instance, after which you leave it to God. People go to that extent. You do that because you believe in what you are doing. And that is one reason. Now go to a hospital. You see a doctor today. He profiles some prescription for you. You go home. After 3-4 days, he himself advises you, if you are not feeling better, you should come back. For some, they may go back to the same doctor. For others, they may decide to take an option of a second doctor on the same hospital issue. If you visit an ophthalmic doctor who takes review of your eyes and feel you need to go through surgery, very excellent doctors, I have gone through them, very, very reputed, excellent doctors, ask you to go and seek second opinion before you come back for that procedure. This is to eliminate what possibly can be an error. And because he believes in himself as a professor, does not mean he must insist after the prescription that you must be well. These are 2 instances that are empirically within the system of our body in Nigeria today, and indeed the world, which for a politician, I have given you a third reason. The third reason is that the system of leadership is too selfish to a fault against popular emergence of people-oriented leaders. I say this with a pinch of salt because I know, and I have been part of the system, we have tried several times. Even this last electoral act, which the president refused to sign part of it, that is direct primaries, that was brought in to improve and cut down the clamp down of some powerful hands within the leadership of the parties in deciding who will fly the flags and who will pick the tickets after primaries. That was the intendment of the direct primaries. But unfortunately, again, like he said, one of them, I think, I cannot remember, maybe it is Comrade Gabriel, he said it. The problem, systems don't work without people who operate them.
Francis.
So at the end of the day, you cannot just hang your fate or the fate of your people because somebody decided to collect money and decide that that ticket must go to so-so person. Or worse again, somebody took a decision that he wants so-so person to pick the ticket either than you, because in his own best interest, if so-so person becomes the occupant of that seat, he is going to be compensated better than if you are the one. These are array of selfish incursions into our body, internal body democracies being administered by parties. Therefore, we have not seen defection to the end yet. Today, like you have seen, PDP, APC, what appeared or supposed to be bigger even than NNPP, look at their primary elections. Look at the outcry. Look at the radical, unclear decisions. Look at how delegates emerge. Look at how somebody sit in his comfort of the room and dish out the list of delegates. Look at how people who are going to stand election don't even know who are the delegates to elect them until less than 24 hours to election. Are all these tenements that can provide and guarantee internal democracy? My answer fairly and individually is that no. And that is why, like you could see, we are not completely in NNPP absent of rancor here and there, but we have been able to be transparent in providing the structure, in providing the administration of such a structure, in administering the system of primary election. Hence, at the end of the day, if you go 2-3 times and repeat the same election, probably the same person will emerge. That we are not saying in the NNPP is a 100% perfect system, but we are starting. 3 months after we brought the party, we have been able to achieve this. We feel fulfilled. Somebody like me, somebody like Rabi Musa Kwankut, we feel fulfilled because we have been able to prove parties of over 20 years, parties of over 7 years, that it can be done. Like Francis has said, it is the people administering the system that corruptly want to bring bad blood into politics, and at the end of the day, the absence of internal democracy. And at the end of the day, the people end up electing who they don't desire, who they don't want, who they didn't choose, who they didn't have in the perspective of leaders who are supposed to take mantle of leadership at various levels of their lives.
Let's go to our Facebook page now. What is coming out there, Joe?
All right, this message is from Yusuf Goje. Yusuf Goje says, good morning. Thank you, Senator, for your well-articulated thoughts. My question is, Kaduna State, with a population approaching about 10 million and an underemployment rate of about 66%, with an annual job creation requirement of 277,000 and a poverty rate of above 40%. As an aspirant or a candidate gunning for governor of the state, how many jobs do you plan to create annually? Similarly, how many people do you intend to pull out of poverty annually? And how do you intend to do that, considering widespread insecurity, debt profile of about 350 billion naira, displacement of micro businesses by the urban renewal projects, market component, and farming communities by bandits, and the current insignificant contribution of the private sector to our revenue base? Thank you, and the best of wishes as we look forward to issues-based campaigns in the run-up to the elections. Augustine Shemang says, Mr. Toyin and the guest, who happens to be my late elder brother's friend and ally in politics, late Yusuf Zamani Daraskido. It's my opinion to say our politicians are just aspiring most times for their selfish ends, their immediate families and close allies. That is why there are reasons for imposing candidature on people and also cross-carpeting from one party to the other for greener pastures is regrettable. I wish our politicians remain in a party that makes you credible no matter the circumstances, but it goes but the irony, well, it is an irony, the politicians don't keep the promises. I wonder, after this life, what would their account be with their creator? So sad, the Nigerian politics. Abdullahi Sule, well, he says, tell us what you will do differently. Well, I don't know what he's trying to say, personal grievances, but I'll just skip that. The last message is okay. Vincent Nwude says, good morning, Mr. Alabi, and good morning to the guest. Please permit me to ask your guest this question. He just said something that drew my attention. He says, Honorable Senator, you said that 2023 is for people to decide. Let's take it back and to amend, I says, to take it back, to amend what we have been mesmerized in the Nigerian politics and INEC. Then I ask, how can this hope he is speaking about in the minds of Nigerian citizens this morning be actualized in a country where a commission like INEC can't decide what will favor the citizenry, even both for their members or their relatives on their own without the decision of the president? Jonathan George Gomez says, good morning, Mr. Toyin. It's obvious that the only truth is said is when we have an opposition as the guest. How I wish the international borrowing will be cancelled in Nigeria. Then let's see how they can manage the limited resources in the country. I believe many will step down. That's the final message there.
Okay. Come back to you.
Thank you so much. I think Professor Goje has painted how very, very reckless this government of today has been. He has done my job on one side. What he has provided as a professor, you will agree with me, tells you a picture of what the government today in Kaduna State represents and reflects. Now the issue is, of course, like he asked, how are we going to address this? Honestly speaking, taking the bull by the horn in that very, very upward picture. That's why we came up or started with a modest outing. Modest. An outing that we feel is modest. We are not over attempting to develop what we may not be able to achieve, because we know the terrain is going to be extremely very, very difficult financially. After the advent of this administration, it is going to be a Herculean task. But that is why, again, like I said, we started by developing a 3-point modest agenda. First of all, most importantly, people's conscience, people's psyche has been brutalized over the past 7 years in Kaduna State. We want to restore confidence into governance. We want to recognize the importance of people being the middle or at the middle of everything when it comes to governance. And that's why we said we want to take the option, the bull by the horn, to restore respect and human dignity of all our citizens in this state, particularly towards government and governance. Today, the situation is alarming and different. Number two, we said it. We have to come up with short and medium term plans on how to protect the livelihood and means of the generality of the people. Akin to that, first of all, security of lives and property. Because you cannot do the second without doing the first. And the first primary issue is that when security is restored, when people have confidence rather than fear, when people can go out and roam to do their normal chores, we believe some of these things will have a way of regenerating themselves, because our people are not weak, our people are not naive, our people are not lazy, and the prosperous agricultural plain that we have in our state will re-flourish once again. We do believe under that issue of security and protection of lives and property, and indeed livelihoods. Livelihoods, we are talking of small things that people do to generate necessary needed revenue for their livelihoods, which is in majority of our populace. Of that 10 million people, which Professor is indicating, more than 90% fall within that category. The third area of concentration, like we said, is boosting small and medium scale enterprises and businesses and trading instruments. These, we have not plotted the graph yet. We don't know at what rate per annum we may be able to regenerate jobs, because we have not even started counting the areas of trades, the areas of small businesses, the areas even agriculture can help to bring back on board for the livelihood of our people. The graphs we are doing, and I can assure you, not long away from now, we will have that in place. You must understand and remember, from the condition we are now talking about, we don't even know the depth of indebtedness the state is. We don't want to promise what we may not be able to do. And that is why some of these key issues and areas of concentration are devoid of any capital in funding. Even if there are, they will consume little. They are social re-engineering of our own polity, our own society, the psyche of our own people that has been brutalized over the last 7 years. To us, that is very, very important. First of all, citizens must recognize that government is about the people, and they have confidence that yes, the government is for them, and that the government is not going to go back into joining forces to throw them out of job, livelihood, and their lives. That is very key and important.
Do you sympathize with the governor of the state about matters of insecurity, because that's what you're aspiring to be, to be the governor of the state in areas of security in the state? He had proffered solutions that these are ways to handle or tackle the situation. He had come up to say, we know them, we know where they are, we hear their conversation, we do. Let's go after them and all of that. For that, he had received knocks, from above. Would you have done it differently?
That is not the issue, Toyin. The issue is, from our constitution, the governor, not Nasru, any governor,
yes,
is the chief security officer of his state. Why did he decide to appoint a commissioner in charge of internal security? What is it that is more important than that? Why did the Nigerian constitution decide to capture protection of lives and property of citizens as the first fundamental contract between any government and the people? Why has it become a second fiddle? Why has the issue of security to lives in the state become an issue for a commissioner other than the governor? These are questions to us.
Not having the army, the police or other security apparatus.
Why must the army and the police be at the desk of a commissioner when people are losing their lives? Why? Tell me why. What is more important than the lives of the citizens? What is so important out there that the governor must preoccupy himself?
How would you
with the lives and protection of the lives of his own people?
How would you have done it in your time?
What ought to be done is simple. Let it be on the first line decision. Let it be the first priority. Let it be what government should and must be seen to wake up to every day, because these things happen every day. I do not see anything more important than that. So that is why for somebody like me, it may be my own views, but I hold sacred that view that you cannot abrogate governance to somebody who you have appointed, while the people, through a popular vote that you claim, have given you contract to protect them, their lives, their livelihoods, and you now decide to take it as a third option. I don't think that is fair to the people.
I
don't think that is what the governor has been sworn in to protect. I do not share, and I do not believe, and I do not condone or agree that that is the right thing to do.
Distinguished Senator, you're still trying to get it right or get it, in proper perspectives. Now, we're talking about a governor who is said to be the chief security of his state, but does not have control over, what he wants the police to do or what he wants the, other security apparatus to do. Because he does not have control, he has to, they take command from above. And this, we're talking about matters of constitution now. I'm asking how you would have done it differently if you had your own time.
Why didn't he resign? If there is a contract that you cannot operate or you fail to operate, you return it.
Can you operate under the system if you were the one?
That, of course, yes, you have to. You see, Toyin, it's not whether I can, I must. If so long as I remain in that office, that is what I swore in to do. You cannot pass the buck. It is passing the buck. Now let me ask you a follow-up question to your question. If what you said is right, he cannot, as a governor, control, direct the security forces. It is not true. It can't be true. And if it is true, why pass it down to someone who is less important, who does not have that contract? What you cannot achieve with the people from above, like you said, you pass it on to somebody at the lower level who can achieve it? What does this mean? What it means is that the contract between the people and the government of Kaduna State in the first instance, captured succinctly, clearly by the provision of the principal part of our constitution, has been abrogated by the governor. That is the truth. It is something that the lawyers should look at and probably take Nasri El-Rufai to court, even if they will reach to the Supreme Court. I can assure you, if it is taken up, there is no doubt about it. He has abrogated his most principal responsibility between himself as a contract socially with the people, and he has failed. And that is why Nasir, not a dumb person, has already passed that verdict onto himself, that government has failed.
In a few minutes, distinguished Senator, give me an assessment of this administration since it came on board. And I'm asking you to do that based on promises that were made, like the euphoria that they promised us, and the El Dorado that was said, given to the people that it would achieve. For this year, running, 7 years running and still counting, what would just be your assessment?
My assessment, Toyin, I don't want to sound personal.
I could do with your personal opinion.
Government has failed. It's a failed government. It's a failed government because he has said so himself. Toyin, nobody can defend him.
Who?
The governor.
No, I'm talking general.
The entire government has failed. What are you looking for, Toyin? It has failed. He has said it. And we take him by his word. Government has failed. Simple. I have given you the most principal contract between the government and the people. They have failed. So every other thing that follow has failed. It cannot be substantiated by any other person better than the governor himself. If you need it, I get it and send it to you. Live, he said it. Government has failed. When government fails, it is the aspects of governance around it that fail. And that is my simple summary assessment and submission, agreeing with him that his government has failed.
Distinguished Senator Suleiman Othman Hunkuyi, we thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you so much, Toyin.
And wishing you
looking forward to return.
Thank you.
Time and time again.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That would just be about the size of the program Perspectives this morning with distinguished Senator Suleiman Othman Hunkuyi of the NNPP, that's the New Nigeria People's Party, and of course aspiring to go for the governorship of the state. I'd like to also, thank the entourage of distinguished Senator Suleiman Othman Hunkuyi. Thank you, sir, for Colonel Edi Gura. Thank you for being part of it. Thank you to chairman of the party and, for being part of this entourage. We thank you for coming on the program this morning. I'd like to thank my colleague, too, who's facilitated, having this program, Ango Bali. Thank you for your good work. And my colleague in the studios here, Job, thank you for connecting us with the people. Wisdom, thank you for putting us in the pictures. We'll come back with Perspectives tomorrow. Have a good day.
Every day, baby.
This is the station playing today's best mix.
Terrific.
FM.